And we are live. Hello. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to another episode of AI Clubhouse. And I am so excited for today. We've been looking forward to this.
You're welcome.
Yes, we get
You're
to
welcome.
see Frank. So we've got our usual suspects, myself, Ginger Bell, Scott Schang from Denver, Colorado, Frank Correa from Vacaville, California, and the one, the only, it's just Ken.
Yes.
Woo!
What
Ken
is
Carey in the
happening?
house. And Ken is actually just across the bridge from me. So he's, depending on the time of day, 30 minutes to an hour and a half drive.
Or yeah, exactly.
Oh, jeez.
I think it'd be 20 minutes. It's pretty fast. I just drove it without traffic and it was so fast.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah, it was funny. We were talking about like literally Portland is across the bridge right there. It's about a half mile from my office. We're in Washington State. And it's so funny. We always go, yeah, let's go to this place for lunch, which is like 15 minutes that way, but in Washington. But I go like 5 minutes that way. It's in Portland. You just don't think of it because it's another state. So kind of weird.
Yeah. Funny how that works. So Ken, we're excited to have you on. For those of you who don't know Ken, you should know Ken. Ken is the founder, CEO, and mastermind behind Knowledge Coop and is probably the foremost expert on compliance in the industry. So been doing it for a long time. Ken and I go way, way back. And actually, Ken, when I first started in the industry and was an account executive, I hired Ken as a coach. And that was when you had Broker Knowledge?
Yeah, Broker Knowledge Group. That's still the name of our company. Knowledge Group's just a DBA, but that was a while ago.
Yeah. So Ken is a wonderful friend, and just a little trivia here. Ken actually lived in Colorado. I'm from Colorado originally before I moved to Oregon. And when I lived in Colorado and was going to school, I worked at a restaurant in downtown Denver called Marlowe's. And Ken also worked at Marlowe's.
Really? We literally worked with the same people. Saeed, the busboy, had been there. I think he just retired, but yeah.
It was Zoom and what were the owners' names? Yeah. It was
Zoom and Liza. Liza was ran the whole thing.
Yeah.
I just went back there to eat, and it's not Marlowe's anymore, but it's a pretty stellar spot. They shut down Marlowe's, Govs Park. I worked at Caledonia's for a while, so they shut them all down.
I forgot about them. Yeah. Government Park. So Government Park was in the capital area of Denver, and had this wonderful outside area, and would have brunch on Sundays. That was just to die for. And Marlowe's, I was in, I forget what building it was in, but it was in an old building. It was one of those great restaurants that you just, know when you go in there. I mean, big business deals would be going down there. That was crazy. Back in the 80s I'm dating myself now. You were there, I think, 10 years after.
Yeah, I was there in 95, 96, 97. And when I was there, it's where I learned to hate business people. Because as a waiter, I'm just struggling to get by with 2 jobs and going to school full time. And these guys would come in at lunch and just be absolute jerks to me. And then you get one who's nice. And I'm like, I live for that nice person. But I wrote a whole spoken word poem about how much I hate business people. I could probably still recite it. Yeah. Oh, I hated it. It was so horrible. And I promised I would never, ever treat a waiter with anything but the utmost respect. And I made some serious decisions back then about how I wanted to be as a business person when I grew up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard of CEOs doing that, doing job interviews at a restaurant to see how the interviewee treats the staff.
So smart.
For that purpose specifically. That's so smart.
Yeah. Very cool. So good. So that's our history. And we're here today to talk about our topic, AI. And, Ken, you think about what does AI and compliance have to do with one another? But it's a lot. And so, Ken, I'll let you tell a little bit about what you do with the Knowledge Coop, but then what you've added. And I know when we were teeing you up last week and sharing with Frank what you have as far as being able to go in and, go through guidelines and things like that and have AI do that. I know Frank was very excited about that.
I am. I got so many, not so many. I have a couple questions, but yeah, I'm excited to hear about it, man. Let's tell us all about it.
Yeah, dive right in.
Yeah. So the funny thing about the compliance. So back in the day when Broker Knowledge Group existed, I started this company coming out of being an AE. I just saw so much as an AE where I'm like, people don't know enough about this business to do their job. And it was also frustrating seeing them making more than I do, but I packaged all their loans. And so when I started this, it was the company in 2003 was just to try and train 10 people at a time on how to do this business right. So how do you read a credit report? How do you read an appraisal report? Like all the things I did as loan officer that made me successful, I wanted to help others with, right? So the foundation of this company wasn't based around compliance. I just love reading laws. And so I can't stop myself. It's an addiction. Every time a law passes, I dive in and read and watch everything around it. And I make a point to not read the news about a law. I read the law because then I understand way more. And so I just kind of did that for a long time. 2 years ago, we decided we would go back to our roots. And really, because we've got the compliance side and CE and PE kind of doing its own thing, we went back to our roots and went, how do we just train everybody in this industry so that they could all be better at their jobs? Because in 20 and 21, there were so many cracks in our business. Like people were punching out loans, but so much was wrong with the way they were doing it. And so they'd run into all these struggles because they didn't know enough. And my thing is just be an expert. Like if you want my business, be an expert and earn my business, right? You can't compare yourself to an online lender and be like, but I'm so much better, and then not be able to say why. And so what we did is built 100 hours of content on how to do loans, how to read credit reports, how to read appraisal reports, how to, who's Fannie Mae, who's Freddie Mac, and basically committed to be the place that everybody goes to learn, grow, and win. And so we launched a subscription. It's $360 to get into Coop Plus. It's an app. You can message with people. And so our concept of learn, grow, win, when we heard of AI, we had this dev call because I've got 6 developers that have been with me for 4 of them for 12 years. And so we had this dev call and I'm like, you guys, I think there's something here because one of the biggest struggles people have is getting the right answer when it comes to compliance. And I'm in all these Facebook groups where it's like, hey, could we do this? And then you get like 18 different answers and most of them contradict each other. And I'm like, there's only one source of truth and it's not secret. Like they're guidelines, they get published. It's just that most places we go to get those answers, it's a pain to read them and people don't want to do that. I made a living reading guidelines. Yeah. Like it's all I did. It was all in my head, right? Yeah. So if you find it, and then underwriters sometimes go, oh no, you can't do that because, we've never been able to do that. And it's like, or you don't know and you've never done one, or last time you did one, the guidelines were different. And so what we did is took that theme of learn, grow, win and went, what if we made all guidelines accessible with just asking a question and getting an answer and having a conversation with our AI? Like, what if you could just plan your loan and like you would call a product desk? What if you just talk to our AI? And so we started building it. And we wanted to, we're still building. We've got FHA, we've got VA, FHA, Fannie and Freddie. And then we're about to drop USDA. And then our next thing is to drop every lender's guidelines. Like our big push is give me all your lenders because I want to it's super easy for us now that we've built it to be able to ingest other stuff. The trick for us was, you can go into ChatGPT and ask it an FHA question. And it could be fairly accurate sometimes. But the problem is it could also be confidently inaccurate where it really seems like it's telling you the right thing, but it's pulling from the entire internet that it's learned. And some of the internet is wrong. Right. Or so old. What we did is, or old. Yeah, totally. And so what we did is we went, what if we took the most recent always and then block out the internet? And so within the Coop, we've only trained it. Like we had to train it to not look anywhere else. We had to just ingest those guidelines we believe are accurate, which are coming directly from the agencies in these cases, and then block out everything else. So now if you ask it a VA question, it's gonna be like, if you ask an FHA question to the VA engine, it's gonna be like, that's a great question for FHA. I just don't know FHA. So like we've split so that everything is super solid. So if you have a question about Fannie, you're going to get the actual answer. And it's been super fun.
That is so cool.
Yeah. Really, and it's within the environment. So it's in a place where you're already getting all of your training. And so while you're there, if you have a question you might take a 1-hour class on reading and understanding credit reports and explaining them. But then you go, but what about this? And so we want to give people access to ask those additional questions.
Hey, Ken, can you hear me? So, do you have it? What I would love, first of all, that's amazing. I really want to check that out. And then also, how about, I really would love to see one. You guys probably maybe you already have it, but running, putting information into it saying, is this ad compliant? I'm a loan officer. I want to run this Facebook ad.
Oh,
You know,
another idea.
Is this okay? You know what I mean? Or maybe it could walk me through it. I want to run a Facebook ad about this product, and it'll say, answer these questions, and here's your ad. You know what I mean? But
Dude,
it's fully compliant.
there's so many landmines there. I will never forget. Actually, Ginger, when you when we were working together back in 04, 05, I got a call from a guy saying, "Hey, I have this ad." He goes, "Do I need to have APR on an ad, on a flyer?" And I said, "Yeah, if you use rate, you need APR and all these other things that are triggering terms." Okay, cool, thanks. And then his compliance officer called me and goes, "You told my loan officer that he could do this." And I go, "Do what?" And she's like, "Do this flyer." I'm like, "Well, your loan officer called me and said, do we need APR?" It was a fully illegal flyer, but it had the APR. So like, I don't want to give anybody access to something that makes them feel good. And also certain compliance officers don't look at it the same way that others do. And they go,
I get it.
Yeah, it's risky.
But I was just thinking, like you said, it's not a mystery, right? The CFPB or whoever publishes, these are the rules. Okay. And so it would be neat if you had one of your machines, one of your GPTs or whatever, that was solely based on that. And maybe you could just put in, this is what I want to say on a Facebook ad. Is it okay? And it could say, based on the rules, you need this or you need that.
Yeah.
Or,
so we are going to solve for that. So here's how we're solving for it without us interpreting, because we're not attorneys over here. What we're going to do is just train it on every state guide. So we can have it ingest all of the state laws and rules so that you'll be able to go in down the road, and everything's moving super fast. But down the road, you'll go in and go, hey, I'm getting licensed in Washington. What are the things I need to know? And then it'll feed you those things. Or I want to advertise in Washington. Do I need my NMLS ID number? Or do I need my branch address is the one that splits by state? So do I need a branch address? Because, some states it's not a thing. So that's what we want to do, is get really specific and clear about what you're trying to get accomplished. And then let it help you along. And that's better than us helping you along. It's also better than, in many cases, an attorney helping you along, because you're not paying for the hours of their research. You're just getting the truth from their state law. Yeah. But I believe in the future, you won't have anybody, if we're selling just information, we're screwed, because our AI will crush us on selling of information. So AI is making information accessibility just like everything's accessible now. And so we're going to try to make that as unique and specific as possible, so that you don't have to worry about that. So loan officers can get the right answer.
I love that. So walk us through. So you've got, let's say, let's just talk FHA. So walk us through how someone would input a question to use the app. So, and is it an app, or is it a desktop, or what is it? It's an app.
It's an app called Coop Plus. Coop logo right there.
Coop Plus.
COOP. Yep. It's Knowledge Coop Plus in the App Store or the Google Play Store.
Nice.
And then when you get in there, so Coop Plus has all of the content we've created. So the 360 membership gets you all the content, plus all of your CE, plus this tool. Cool. And so when you go in there, there's a little button at the bottom left as a subscriber. And it pops up and it just says, what question do you have? Is it VA, FHA, or is it VA, FHA, Fannie or Freddie? Type in VA and you start asking questions. And in about 4 to 6 seconds, it gives you your answer. So like we just for fun would go in and be the FHA loans. We go, hey, can I do a loan in a lava zone? And it gives you all the lava zone guides. But the sweet thing is it goes, yeah, you can, but here's what you need to think about. And here's where I got that. And then it actually gives you the source, so that you could just take that source, email your underwriter and be like, by the way, I think we can do this, because check this out. And your underwriter's mind is going to be blown, and they're going to be like, who are you? Like, are you a loan officer?
And they're going to go straight to the guidelines too.
Yeah. You're like, I drink and I do loans and I know things. So, but if they go to the guidelines, we gave you the guidelines. Like we teed it up so that an underwriter can't look at this thing and go, no, that can't be true. Right. All you have at that point is for the underwriter to go, well, at our company, which is why we're working on overlays next, so that we can build the overlays for each company. because in the enterprise edition for all of our enterprise coops, we're about to launch. I shouldn't even say, but it's like in a week or so, we're launching this for the enterprise. So inside the Knowledge Coop is basically how a lot of companies operate all of their training and all of their corporate communications through my platform. So we're putting it into each of those coops over time so that they can just do it inside of their own system. And in that case, they'll be able to search for their actual company related guidelines that we can mix those overlays if there are any for a company.
That's really cool, Ken. Very, very smart.
I love it.
Very, very cool. I love it. So it's $360 a month, $360. How much? What is
a
it?
year? It's stupid. Yeah, I know. We didn't raise the price when we added AI.
Yeah.
The only difference is we're
done, just so you know.
You're what? Oh yeah.
I'm buying that as soon as we're done here, just so you know.
It's the only thing we're doing is we're giving you a certain amount of prompts. And so it should be enough for any loan officer. But if you want to go in there and just be like, check this out, and like just bump a bunch of stuff in there, then we've got a tiered edition so that you can pay for more prompts if you want them.
So what if somebody has no idea? It's like, okay, I have a borrower. They've got a, 639 credit score. They have this much money for a down payment. So you have a scenario and you want to know what's the best program for it. What does that look like?
That's next. That's next. So first we had to compartmentalize them. Yeah. And then what we're doing next is going, and that's where we want to go for wholesale lenders, is if we can ingest every wholesale guide, then we can actually put them all in one room. So you take all of these bits and pieces and you only train it on those things. And then you'll be able to do that. So you can, for wholesale, you could actually find out exactly who can do that product for you. And you'll never have to ask a scenario question again. So that's what we're building now is we're kind of going in our goal. So to get that, we need people at these lenders to connect with us so that we can show them how to ingest. And we're creating right now a specific UI page where they can go in, a lender like take a UWM can go in and be like, all right, here's our guidelines, and they can individually update their stuff and keep it updated because the updating is the hard part, right?
Right.
It's why other platforms don't have accurate guides because they're not uploading, the recent things. So we're managing Fannie, Freddie, FHA, VA, USDA, and then our specific lenders will be given a tool that they'll be able to go in and update theirs. Once they do, because of our software that we built, 2012, we can now clone that across every coop. So no matter what coop you're working in, if you ask it, it's searching that same database and bringing back that same answer from that lender.
So thinking from just the next step from this. So you have, say you want to do, and obviously my mind always goes to what can we do for video, for marketing, for everything with that. So put in a scenario, right? Say, what's the best program for, a first-time home buyer in Vacaville, California, who makes this much money a month and has this much for a down payment. Oh, it's this program. Oh, now write my script for me, right? And then from the script, then, okay, now write my YouTube description, write my social media post. I mean, we've done that for all of our clients and made GPTs for each of our clients that has all of that built in. This is what, Frank, we were talking about doing for you. And so taking that strong knowledge, and it's so important. I mean, what you've done, Ken, is I'm amazed, but I'm not amazed knowing you. But where your geeky mind goes to all the time. But I mean, there's just so many things. And wholesale lenders, I mean, brokers are coming back. I mean, the numbers are
oh my gosh,
amazing.
like crazy. Yeah.
So many of my clients have, moved from retail and opened their own shop. And so now we've got branding and everything for them. And it's just on an increase. So definitely getting on board with the wholesale lenders. Hey, if there's anything I can do to help too, let me know. Cause I have a lot
definitely.
of my clients.
I need my canoodler.
The canoodler. I don't remember.
We gave Ginger a
New
nickname
York?
a long time ago. That was in New York when I was the Dong Boo. You were the canoodler.
Oh yeah. Ken and I have history. Actually, I mean, just take it. So here's the thing, and just to take you back for a little bit, and where AI is right now, and why we're so excited about all these crazy things we can do. So Ken and a friend of his, which we call Brazil, which is a funny
Rick Thomas
story.
Brazil. Yep.
we went to a National Speakers Association conference in New York. And I think the hotel rooms at the Marriott were like $600 a night, which back in the day, I mean, it's still a lot now, but it was like, we're not doing that. And so Ken calls me, he goes, I found a place for us to stay. And it's like, how'd you do that? He goes, there's this thing called Airbnb and you can rent somebody's place. I'm like, what? You can rent somebody's place? He goes, yeah. And it literally was, I think it was a 2-bedroom flat that probably somebody moved out of so we could rent
Oh
it.
yeah. Right above the restaurant row.
Yeah, it was in what's that area called?
It was right off Times Square.
Yeah. But it was awesome. And so, just taking us back, it's like, who would have ever thought back then? It's like, what? You rented somebody's place off of the internet and we're going to go stay there and it's safe? That's crazy. Yeah. And look how far we are now.
I did a Facebook seminar when Facebook first came out, and I was talking about Facebook for Business. And I'll never forget, and I think I still have the audio recording where somebody goes, nobody will ever upload a picture of their family in a public environment where people can see it. That's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, they will. Oh, they absolutely will. Like, you'll be amazed at what people will do. And they're like, no, there's no way. And I'm like, you have to be able to take human behavior into account, right? And in this case, you have to be able to take AI into account, which is so much harder. Humans are easy compared to AI, right? Because AI has this accessibility that's bonkers, the things that you can do. I had to do a spreadsheet for me. I do the push-up challenge every year, right? So you do 1 push-up on day 1, on January 1, 2 on January 2nd, 3 on January 3rd. And then by the end of the year, you've done 66,795, I think, push-ups. And so this year's a leap year. And I hate Excel. I don't know how to use it very well. I used to, but I don't use it ever. And so now I'm like, I don't remember what Excel is. And so I pulled up ChatGPT and I went in and said, I need you to create me a spreadsheet because I do this push-up challenge. And it's like, tell me more about your push-up challenge. And I was like, okay, so here's what we do. And because I was trying to give it orders, and I'm like, build me a thing with like this many boxes. And it's like, stop it. Like, what are you trying to accomplish? And I'm like, okay, I just want to track push-ups in a leap year and have like these things. And it's like, how's this? And it gave me the spreadsheet that I pulled down and went, oh, dang. Like we have to reroute our brain on why are we doing these things. Right. It could do pivot tables, it could do analysis. The one thing, by the way, though, that because you said the scripting piece, and I love it, although you have to be super like keep what you're great at. Because like I had it read a law recently, and I'm like, that's garbage. I don't need it to read a law because it's missing intent. Right. And when I read a law, I go through there's a whole section of every proposed rule where it's like, we propose this. And then in the final rule, and you've read some of these, in the final rule, it's like, so the NBA wanted us to do this, but here's why we're not gonna. I need that, like that gem. Mm-hmm. That's how I tell where things are going. Because then I go, when people are like, yeah, we might get this from the CFPB. I'm like, no, you're not. Go read their commentary. In the commentary, it says they'll never freaking do it because it's a bad idea. Right. But I still want to read that. And ChatGPT is not going to win that over, right? Scripting is awesome. In fact, scripting is like one of the best tools you could use AI for, as long as you're using your voice, right? If I'm going to send an email to somebody who doesn't know me, I'll script it all day long. But if I'm sending an email to somebody I really need to, kid gloves, or it's a sensitive situation, I'm still writing that email myself. I might start it in ChatGPT like I've done with my intro when I speak. My speaking intro is all done by AI. But I'm still going to look it over and make sure it's modified to meet my needs. But yeah, it's amazing. It's a rethinking of how what are the potential options for this? Yeah. And when you say, could it do this? The answer is usually yes.
Yeah. And I mean, it's all in training. It's getting so much better at learning as well. But, if you upload and make a voice guide and take, copies of your videos, put the transcripts in, and create a voice, I had it do that for me. And I put in books I've written, handouts, it's videos I've done, and it created an entire voice guide. So then you just create your GPT agent and say, always write in this voice. And so that's what's so cool. I mean, we need to do lunch. There's so many. Totally. I'm so excited. So, okay. So we're going to, we've got 5 minutes. And so I want, Frank, I know you said you had a couple questions. So I want to
he answered. My whole thing was the advertising. I was wondering about that. I think that would be really cool to upload whatever the guidelines are and just be able to say, hey, here's what I'm thinking on doing. Tell me if I'm cool or if I'm missing something or whatever. And it'll tell me, oh, you forgot to put that in there. Okay, good. Yeah. Or
One
go
piece
ahead
of
and
that, by the
rewrite
way,
it.
is there's something called the reasonable consumer test that the FTC uses. So most advertising pieces where they go wrong is in the reasonable consumer test. And it's hard to get ChatGPT to tell me what a reasonable consumer might think. It's more of who was the congressman who said, I can't define pornography, but I can tell you when I see it.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain ads where it's like, all right, come on. Like, this looks like it's from the VA. And it might not get caught by ChatGPT because ChatGPT might be like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I argued with ChatGPT over a RESPA question that it's wrong on. 100% it's wrong. But it was reading it and not getting the real life interpretation from it or pulling from other areas of maybe it's not in law, but maybe the FTC wrote a paper on it and that paper changes this, or the CFPB is famous for writing papers that all of a sudden change the way they look at things. And so the risk is that you could go, yeah, the law says it's fine. The CFPB doesn't give a rip about whether the law says it's fine. They do what they want. And if you have a problem, take them to court. So that's the area where you still need humans on that stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, Frank.
Well, that sucked.
I know.
Fix it.
Well, and what I guess what I would say too is like what you've built there, Ken, that's not the last place you go. That's the first place you go to narrow down your options. So then to do your homework, because as you know, they're guidelines, they're not rules. So there's always nuance to it and there's always context to it. But like your tool says, well, these areas of the handbook address it, and here's where you will find that information. Right.
Yeah.
So it's a research tool. It escalates your research ability and narrows down your options. Yeah. That's brilliant. That's really, really cool. Claude can do that for like laymen that are out there. Claude's pretty good at it. New ChatGPT might be able to handle a Fanny guide, but it didn't used to.
Interestingly, we had to teach it how to handle tables. That was the biggest problem, is that ChatGPT doesn't do tables well. And so we had to write our own code to be able to make that work.
Interesting.
Yeah, it can't jump inside and bring something out very well.
And it's a whole different animal when you're doing it programmatically, because you're having to give it instructions on every API call. It's just a different animal than working directly with a GPT agent.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think you said this earlier, Ken. It's like, can AI do it? Yes. You just have to know how to explain what you want it to do.
Right.
Because it's going to take you literally, like, it doesn't know what you're thinking. It's just going to react to what input you're putting. And yeah, I love it. That's really
the funny
really cool that you've introduced.
The best thing, thank you. The best thing ever is the first day we released it in beta. It was hilarious because it saved a deal day one. And the comment was, you just saved my deal with my argument I was having with my underwriter. Thank you. And all we want to do with the Knowledge Coop is help people change lives, make things better than, leave this industry better than how we found it. So I get those messages and I'm like, it's working and it's saving borrowers deals and helping loan officers and underwriters. It's going to streamline everything.
Yeah. Well, it's going to make better underwriters too, because sometimes we rely so much on technology as far as underwriting. And you and I both know, because we would always get into the guides. It's like, I know it's in here. No, it's on. And you have your little sticky notes. It's like, no, it's on page 365. And it clearly says, as an account executive, that was our job, was to know the guides.
Yeah.
And so now having this tool, I mean, imagine if we would have had it back then. Oh my gosh. But I mean, exciting times.
I could have golfed so much more.
Exciting times. And
the analogy that I always used is, if you're not using AI now is like saying, oh, I don't know what this desktop underwriter is. I'm just going to keep doing it the way I always have.
Right.
Right.
My favorite statement on AI is, you won't be beat by AI, but you won't be replaced by AI, but you will be replaced by somebody leveraging AI.
Yeah. Very true.
Yep. So true. Okay, so let our listeners know, how can they find this magical app? I know Frank's signing up right now. Probably he's already signed up.
100%. Yeah, I'm buying it today. Yeah, there's no doubt.
Jump on Knowledge Coop Plus in the App Store or Knowledge Coop Plus in the Google Play Store, and you can download the app. You can also get it online. Go to knowledgecoop.com, and you can actually. The interesting thing is, because the way the App Store works, go to knowledgecoop.com and get your membership, and then download the app and log in, because we can't sell anything through Apple, or else they'll charge us 20%. So,
right.
Yeah. So start on the internet,
start on the website,
on your desktop.
Yep. Get your membership.
Get
then
your membership.
Put your creds in. Get the app and put your creds in.
And then get the app, log in with your information.
I love it. That's so good.
And you'll be good. So Ken, we'll have to have you back again, because I'd love to have you do like a drive live demo on it if you can. And then
totally.
The other
That'd be
thing,
awesome.
so you guys, the other thing is, and we're not in renewal time right now, but when you do have renewal time, Ken's CE course is, whether it's live, which is the best way to do it, or online, Ken does it in a way that it is not boring. And you theme every year. I know you've done the Game of Loans one year, and this year
Sons of Compliance for 2 years.
Yeah. And so the theme this year is?
The theme this year, that was my Sons of Compliance hoodie.
Nice.
The theme this year is we're doing like Last Week Tonight kind of a deal. So it's a late night talk show.
Oh, cool.
But I do begin the whole thing with me singing our version of I'm Just Ken. And we're dropping that in like 2 or 3 weeks. It'll be available. It's included with a Coop Premium membership and our Coop Plus membership. Yeah, it's going to be. We also did To Catch a Creditor this year. If you've seen To Catch a Predator, we literally did the same thing with a loan officer bringing a bag of things that we discuss. It's horrible and hilarious. And we did Goodwill Lending, which is one of my favorite skits we've ever done. So
nice.
Shout out to Matt Ellerding, Ryan Hills. Those guys have been with us a long time as our actors. And then we brought a couple new people in this year that they'll blow your mind.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I love it.
That stuff is always, the stuff you guys produce in that regard is just always great.
And you can catch on our YouTube channel too, or inside Coop Plus. You can see all of the previous years of movies.
Nice.
Good stuff.
I love it. I love it. Well, Ken, thanks so much. Appreciate all you do, my friend. And we will see you next week. We are going to be talking AI next week. And then the last week of the month, we have Chelsea Gardner on, and she's going to be talking about AI and social media. So make sure and tune in. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all soon.
Adios, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
See you, everybody.
Thanks.